Let the music play. Welcome. Come on
What's
in.
up?
I know y'all waiting. I know we late. I know. Look, color people time. I know. But bring your ass in. Come on now. JB got you. Welcome to the Sabby and JB show. I am one of your hosts, James. Sabby, say what's up to all the fam.
What's up, guys? We have a really, really important breaking story today that I think will affect everybody, to be honest. So I'm excited to talk about this.
Oh my goodness. Sabs. Okay. First off, just to let you guys know, the Sabby and JB show is every single Thursday at 6 p.m. You can also catch Sabby Sabs here on RBN on Fridays at 6, and then you can catch Sabby tonight on her channel as well. I know you got a good show, right?
I think so.
All right. And then on top of it, you can catch me on RBN on Sundays at 1. Okay. And you catch me on my channel on Tuesdays at 2. Now, thank you so much to all the patrons on Patreon as well as members. Yes, we do have memberships. Thank you so much to all of you. Also, if you would like to, you guys can go to Revolutionary Blackout at .substack.com. You guys can go there and get our Substack notifications if you guys would like to get email notifications. As well as, if you guys would like to, you guys can also donate to our fundraiser for our graphics designer, Erin. She does an amazing job. And if you guys would like, you guys can go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout or Cash App $ Mutual Aid Forever. Erin, she does an amazing job with our graphics. So we deeply appreciate the graphics and as well as clipping the clips for us. She does great work. So thank you so very much, Erin. Now, I'm going to say what's up to people in the chat really fast because we have a lot to get to, but I really want to just say hello to everybody really quick. Let's go. All right. So I'm going to, it's quick. It's going to go super fast. Steve Wolbrand, good to see you. Good to see you, Bryce Smith. Bryce Smith says, CJ did it again. Hey, Sabby and JB, good afternoon, everyone. All right. We have Sean Miller coming in saying, you're. We also have Gamer for Life coming in. Good to see you, Gamer for Life. All right. Sean Miller, good to see you. Steve Wolfbrandt, good to see you. Did I already say that already? Oh, well. Good to see you. Serena Sawyer coming in. coming in hot, saying greetings, comrade. It feels like 115 degrees where I am. It feels like a dragon's balls in here in Florida. Sorry, but it does. Brett Hudgens coming in saying, "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not in a food coma like Bryce, but definitely on the caffeine dip trip. Thank you so very much." All right. Kyria Grigor says, "RBN had a great panel earlier. What's up, fam? Good to see all of you here today." Let me see. We got Throne of Blood coming in saying, "Two of my favorite peeps. Give them hell." Thank you so much. We have V coming in, giving us some love as well. We have Rick Solis coming in saying, "Hey, y'all. Good to see you, Rick." All right. Okay. All right. So good to see all of you guys in here today. All right. So what are we going to be talking about today? So let me show you guys. So today we're going to be talking, why do we call them dirty, rotten scoundrels? We have Amazon, Netflix, Disney, and Warner Brothers. You better Warner, brother. So that's what's going on. We're going to be talking about the WGA and the Screen Actors Guild. SAG-AFTRA. It's going to be interesting. So let's go to what's going on right now. There is actually a Deadline article that was shown recently that caught a lot of people's attention. And Sabs, I want to get your reaction to it after I start off with the reading of the article, because this is crazy. Well, okay, it's not crazy. Don't be surprised, but I think we know, you and I know, how corporations, especially corporate dictators, how they operate. But some people just don't realize how nefarious they really are. This article says Hollywood studios' WGA strike endgame is to let writers go broke before resuming talks in fall. So it says exclusive updated with the AMPTP statement. It says regardless of whether the SAG-AFTRA goes on strike this week, SAG-AFTRA is the Screen Actors Guild, the studios have no intention of sitting down with the Writers Guild for several more months. Quote, "I think we're in for a long strike, and they're going to let it bleed out," end quote, said one industry veteran intimate with the POV of studio CEOs. With the Scribes strike now finishing its 71st day. Sabs, I didn't know this has been going on for 71 days. Have you?
No, it feels like it's only been a month, actually, but
yeah, it feels like it's been so much longer. So strike now finishing its 71st day. In the actors union, just 30 hours, that was at the time, from a possible labor action of its own. The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers are planning to dig in hard this fall before even entertaining the idea of more talks with the WGA. I've learned, quote, "Not Halloween precisely, but late October for sure is the intention," end quote, says top tier producer close to Carol Lombardi run AMPTP. While some dismiss this just as cynical strike talk, studio and streamer sources around town confirmed the strategy. They also confirmed that the plan to grind down the guild has long been in the works for a labor cycle that all sides agree is a game changer for or one way or another for Hollywood. They said it's been agreed for months, even before the WGA went out. One executive said nobody wanted to strike, but everybody knew this was going to make or break. So, Sabs, first off, what is your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's just a part of capitalism. Like, they'd rather have the writers starve instead of just paying them a living wage. And another thing too, I think some people may have gotten the impression that writers in Hollywood make a lot of money. That's actually not necessarily the case, as we see with the writer strike, right? Not everyone that works in Hollywood makes a lot of money or even a living wage. And that includes the production teams as well. Like they don't make much, but like you can't have television shows or movies without the writers, without the production team. That includes people who do the makeup, that includes the costume designers, the set crew. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
Mhm.
And if any of you ever worked, like when you were in high school, if any of you were a part of theater or drama, you know how much goes into even putting a play together. You have to have the backstage crew. You have to have the people who are going to build the set and the people, you have people that do the costumes, all that kind of stuff. So it really takes a village to create these shows and these movies that people like to watch so much. So the thing is, if with the writers going on strike, and then now you have SAG. So for those who don't know, that's the union for actors is SAG.
Yeah.
So it with them going on strike, you have no TV shows or new TV shows or movies. And I want to really stress that that doesn't just mean, the mainstream TV outlets. That doesn't just mean like CBS, NBC, Fox. That also means Netflix,
Yep.
Amazon Prime, Hulu, like all those platforms that are streaming platforms, those actors still are a part of SAG as well.
Yep. Yep.
So there you go.
Yep. And I also want to read this as well because this goes deep. This is just nefarious here. Let me see. They said the end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses, a studio executive told Deadline. Acknowledging the cold as ice approach, several other sources reiterated the statement. One insider called it a cruel but necessary evil. I just want you to expand on that a little bit too.
See, but honestly, after that statement, I don't even know why they would want to go back and work for Hollywood at all. Like that just tells you what they think about you. And that's really really concerning. They'd rather for the writers to lose their homes. They'd rather for them become homeless than to pay them a living wage. And again, this is a product of capitalism. So for all the people who like to criticize like socialism and say, well, socialism's never worked and communism's never worked, I want to remind people there's no true communist country in the world. There's none, not China, not Vietnam. None of them are truly communist. But how well is capitalism working out for people? This is really concerning. Again, this goes beyond unionizing because SAG is a union.
Uh-huh.
And it goes to show you that even when it comes to the unions, there are limitations that the unions have. And this is why we keep screaming at the top of our lungs the need for worker co-ops where you own a piece of the company. I mean, these workers, what can they do? I mean, they're going on strike, but other than that, what do they do if these Hollywood producers and networks say, yeah, we're just not going to pay you what we want to pay you, and it just is what it is? What do they do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the first strike they've had in 15 years. So it says, since the WGA called this first strike in 15 years in early May, there have been no discussions between AMPTP and the guild, despite persistent public guild offers to meet. Sources close to the AMPTP insist that there have been no direct offer from the WGA leadership to resume talks. And so this is something that has really just have been something that hasn't been done in a long time. And so, solidarity with the workers, but this has been brewing. Somebody said in a TikTok video that they said that these studios lost, a significant amount of money during the pandemic, and so they're trying to make that all back. But at the same time, it's at the expense of the workers. It says still, as pickets went up and production shut down in the strike's early weeks, Studio bosses almost uniformly offer banal praise to the writers, but no public proposals to get them back to work. This sentence right here reminds me of people praising essential workers, like, oh my God, they're essential, and but they wouldn't give them, a decent, living wage, no hazard pay, nothing like that. It was just like verbal rhetorical praise. And so this is basically what sounds like to me as well.
Another thing I want to add too, because I don't want people to assume that everyone that's an actor in Hollywood is a millionaire or they're making $20 million a movie. The majority of actors are not wealthy. The majority of actors in Hollywood have another job.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear to people. Like the majority of people that are actors in Hollywood, either wait tables or they work retail, they have another like regular job to pay their bills. The majority of actors in Hollywood are not making $20 million a movie. They're not, getting like scripts handed to them. They're still having to go to open casting calls, whether they have an agent or not. So that's important for people to understand. You have a large portion of actors in Hollywood that are just still scraping by. And a lot of times you may not even know their name. You may see them, in movies or TV shows here or there, but they could be that one actor. You're like, oh, it's that guy whose name I never know or never remember. So that's just important for people to understand. It really is gig employment if you think about it, JB, because you're not guaranteed to get another movie offer or another TV show if your show gets canceled.
Yeah. Look at Brendan Fraser. I mean, he was on top of the world. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this part is also really interesting. It says, in the meantime, as network schedules shift to unscripted shows and streamers buy up foreign content, the studios and streamers have been saving money on Shudder productions and cost cutting. So basically, instead of actually coming to the table and negotiating with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA, they're just shifting their costs so that they won't have to spend as much. So unscripted shows, reality TV, basically, and then streamers buy up foreign content. So the foreign content that, they're not part of SAG-AFTRA and they're not part of WGA, so they can get that foreign content, which is probably cheaper. And then studios and streamers have been saving money on Shudder productions. So they're like, okay, we're just going to go on a skeleton crew and, import our content, which is what they've been doing. And so just to let you guys know, to also solidify Sabby's statement about actors, there's 160,000 members of SAG-AFTRA.
Mm-hmm.
And so it says 160,000 members SAG-AFTRA joins the WGA picket lines. The studios hope the actors get back to the negotiating table in a few weeks. 160,000 members. Not all of them are millionaires.
No, most of them are not. That's what people have to understand. Like most of those people, and I know this because a friend of mine, we waited tables together. They moved to LA and they've gotten acting gigs here and there, but they said the same thing. They were very surprised when they realized most of the actors in Hollywood aren't really making much because it just, they're just trying to stay employed. So they take the roles that they get to try to increase their portfolio and their presence so that they can get those bigger roles. But there's only so many large roles and they usually go to the same people. I mean, how many times do we need to see Tom Cruise do another Mission Impossible? How many times do we need to see, if you think about it, especially when it comes to Black actors, it's usually the same people in those starring roles. Like you can pretty much predict who it's going to be. If it's a female, if it's a male, it's like, okay, it's probably going to be one of these 4 or 5 people. So those roles are really hard to come by, especially for people, actors of a certain race. Because the thing is, this is another thing that my friend brought to my attention. Most of the roles are for white men. Most of the roles.
True.
So if you are an actor, a struggling actor, and you're, a person of color, you're already at a disadvantage because there's not going to be as many roles offered to you or that you can even get because it's for a specific, race. So you have that. Then you have to compete against the people who are already well known and have already made it, and it's most likely just going to go to one of them.
Yeah. And then on top of it, it makes pickings even slimmer, because when you think about it, you're all those TV shows that are doing remakes, reboots, and all these different things. They're calling back the same actors that have been doing them before. And so therefore it makes the pickings even slimmer.
Yeah, and some people have the same people in their movies. Like Adam Sandler has the same people in all of his movies for the most part. Like Tyler Perry repeats actors. Like I think it's, so it's not what I think a lot of people think that it is. But a lot of the people there, they're struggling, or you would say struggling artists, they're struggling actors. Same thing with music, by the way. Most musicians are not millionaires. Most musicians are struggling artists whose album you
Struggling
probably
artists.
never heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I move on, I just want to thank V for the super sticker. Thank you so much to V. Appreciate it very much. She's Black says they don't want to pay the writers a fair wage. Tyler Perry writes for his own shows mostly because he doesn't want to pay the writers. Oh my God. He is a capitalist. That he is. And his shows are horrible, by the way.
Yeah, he also acts in most of his own movies. Have you noticed that too? He's usually one of the characters. So yeah, that's just another way of being cheap, even though you're rich.
Yeah.
Isn't that's disgusting? Like if you think about it in a way, but he's not the only one. There's other people that do this too, but it is true. It's the same people over and over. And like you said, with the reboots, a lot of times for those, they're bringing back the same people. Even like Cobra Kai, which I freaking love Cobra Kai. It was still shocking to me that they were able to bring back all the original actors from the Karate Kid that were still alive. That was very surprising to me that they were able to still find, those people. And then you have to think about some of the child actors in these roles as well too, because I don't know if this is still the case, but it used to be, I know when we were growing up, JB, child actors were not allowed to touch their money until they turned 18. The parents could, but the kid couldn't, right?
Yeah.
So there were some child actors that basically realized they were broke once they became of age to withdraw their own money. Like the girl that played Julie on Family Matters. She was one of those people where one day she showed up to the set and they said, yeah, they just wrote her out of the script, didn't tell her ahead of time. She showed up and they were like, yeah, they're like, you're not here anymore. And then she thought, okay, we're still going to be fine because I made all that money from all the years I was on the show. Come to find out that her parents spent all her money. Like apparently they had stopped working and everything when she got that part, and she was broke and she didn't even have a chance to touch that money. So that's another thing too. Like some of the people, you're when you're hot, you're really hot, and when you're not, you're not. So some people right now are really popular, and we've seen this, JB. There were actors in the 90s that were very popular in the 90s, and you can't find them anywhere now.
Yeah.
One day Hollywood just stopped calling.
Yep, like Jaleel White. No, I don't see anything from him anymore because he got typecast too.
Yeah, it really is gig employment, you guys. Like it's not really something to count on, that's for sure. But that still doesn't mean that people shouldn't be treated, the way they deserve to be treated. And the fact that they don't want to pay the writers a living wage, well, that's just good luck getting other writers.
Yep. So I also wanted to show this because someone said this and it was a good point. So the tweet comes from Culture Crave. Let me enlarge this just a little bit. And it says, studios and streamers plan to reportedly break the WGA. The end game is to allow things to drag on so union members start to lose their apartments and losing their houses. That was out of the article that we just saw. And then let's go back. Sorry about that. And then Tony Chavez says, so basically their terms are write television shows and make millions for us under the piss poor, unstable conditions we currently give you, or die. Got it. Basically.
But you know what, JB? I would say to people, well, you can boycott guys at home. You can just stop watching television, but the reality is that isn't going to happen. Or I could say stop going to the movies, but the reality is that isn't going to happen. But one thing I will say is, if I was Hollywood, I would pay, close attention to what's happening in South Korea, because South Korea is killing it in the film and TV industry right now. Some of the best movies I've seen over the past 3 years, movies and TV shows, have been made and produced in South Korea. So Hollywood can play around if they want to.
Yeah.
Other countries can produce their own media.
Yep. So let me share this as well. We're going to give a shout out to Case Study QB for this clip.
Case.
Catch a case, baby. Yeah.
Agreement deadline between SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers is tonight at midnight. Negotiators for the Actors Union have agreed to call in a federal mediator. Now, the agreement was made last night, just over 24 hours before the deadline to reach a deal before the union will strike. Now, the union said in a statement they will exhaust every possible opportunity to make a deal. Now, they are demanding more compensation in streaming and safeguards to artificial intelligence. Agreement deadline between SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and...
Did you hear the part about AI?
Let's go back to it.
Possible opportunity to make a deal. Now, they are demanding more compensation in streaming and safeguards to artificial intelligence. Agreement deadline.
See? And don't tell me it can't be done, because I've watched them already CGI people into movies that are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Rogue One, for those of you who saw Rogue One, the way that they CGI'd Carrie Fisher into that movie. Obviously, Carrie Fisher had passed away before Rogue One was finished, before she finished filming Rogue One, but they CGI'd her in there. So don't tell me it can't be done. This is why we need to really pay attention to what's happening, because they're already looking at ways to replace people.
Yeah. If anybody watched The Mandalorian, look, if you have not seen The Mandalorian, if you really want to see it, I'm going to spoil season 2. I think it's episode 8. So if you don't want to, walk out. But I'm going to give a spoiler, because this actually is in congruence with what Sabby just said. So in that last episode, Luke Skywalker shows up. But it's not old Mark Hamill. It's young Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill does his own voice, but there's a guy, and so they superimpose a young Mark Hamill over this guy's face. So if they can do that, and you can kind of tell it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good. And so they're doing all these different things, right? And was it in Rogue One where they had
Carrie Fisher,
Moff Tarkin as well?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so they're doing all that too. And so AI is improving day after day, year after year. And so if they continue to keep going, then it can get to a point where our media will be all computer made, all computer written, computer animated, everything.
Yep. I'm gonna go to some of the comments. Thank you for the super chat, John. JB and Sabby joining late, listening to CJ, and had poison ivy hands. Oh no. Yikes. Love y'all. It all works because of workers. That's not fun. I had poison ivy when I was a kid. It is not fun.
Yeah.
Kill Your Gorgies. Gary Coleman got screwed. Webster does TikTok now. What?
He does?
I have two more here. That's crazy. Red says most child actors don't have long careers. Once they grow up, people move on. That's true too. Greg Bruce says they did it in the Terminator 4 also with a CGI young Arnold. That's right. I forgot about that. So it's just, I mean, they already looking at alternatives.
Yeah. And they de-age and all that other stuff. I mean, you know, man. Another thing that I also wanted to show you guys, there's going to be a few clips because this is all still just coming out as we see. And I just want to get into some of these things. Let me see that. That's for last. Just that. Okay. So I also wanted to share. Let me see. Share this with you guys. And I also have an article I'm going to get into. But I'm going to say this, and I mean this, you know, with all my heart. Fuck Disney. Because Bob Iger. Let me see. Let me share what Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, says. Bob Iger says that they will be reducing spending and creation on new Marvel and Star Wars content.
Oh, those are fighting words.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fighting words, JB.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have an article that discusses what Bob Iger said. So let me see. I thought I had it open. Never mind. Let me go here. Oh, I hope it's not. Okay. All right. Let me open this really quick. I hope it doesn't put me behind a paywall.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, I hate it. Damn paywalls. Our life is paywalled. Healthcare and housing's paywalled. Anyway, don't let me get started. So this is out of Variety. It says Disney CEO Bob Iger says writers and actors are not being realistic with strikes. Is very disturbing to me. Of course. Of course. Pencil Neck would say something like that. Look, I'm sorry. I usually don't insult people. When it comes to corporate dictators, look, that shit goes out the window. I'm going to insult because they have no right to say anything like this because they are basically just exploiters. It starts off, it says, during the appearance on CNBC's Squawk Box on Thursday morning, Disney CEO Bob Iger said that the writers and actors unions were going on strike in Hollywood are not being realistic with their expectations. Speaking to CNBC's David Faber from the Sun Valley Conference in Idaho, Iger commented on the ongoing Writers Guild of America strike and imminent decision for SAG-AFTRA to join them. Sorry, look, I'm going to say this how it sounds to me because he's a rich prick. It's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges we're facing. The recovery from the pandemic, which is ongoing, it's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. Exactly, Bob. Exactly. Because guess what? We need to do this because you guys are screwing over your workers. So, yeah, it's a damn good time to do this. Perfect timing. Sabs, before I continue. Please.
Yeah, I mean, he's just another rich guy who doesn't want to, share the funds.
Share the wealth.
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. And he makes what, $20-30 million a year as CEO of one of the biggest multinational corporations in the world. Gosh.
Disney owns a lot. Disney owns ESPN.
Yeah. And ABC News.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, when they bought Lucasfilms, they bought it from George Lucas for over $3 billion. They gave George Lucas $3 billion. Anyway, I digress. It continues, he says, I understand any labor organization's desire to work on behalf of its members to get the most compensation and be compensated fairly based on the value they deliver. We manage as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same with the writers. Bullshit. We'd like to do the same with the actors. Bullshit. There's a level of expectation that they have that's just not realistic. Bullshit. And they are adding to the set of challenges that the business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive. Of course it's disruptive because you guys are disrupting their lives, Bob. God. Of course, an employer is going to be like, this isn't realistic. Not to you, because you guys get billions of dollars collectively.
Yep.
Bob Iger says it will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business. And unfortunately, there's a huge collateral damage in the industry to people who are supportive services. And I could go on and on. It will affect the economy of different regions, even because of the sheer size of the business. It is a shame. It's really a shame.
What's it going to take? What's it going to take? I have a clip too, JB, just letting you know.
Okay. Just to go back to what I was saying about the pay packages. Iger's total pay package last year was $15 million, though Chapek, who was the former CEO, Bob Chapek, who was paid $24.5 million, was at the helm for the majority of last year. After Iger took over again, it was revealed that he had the potential to earn up to $27 million this year.
There you go.
Just for coming back late last year, because Bob Iger came back in November of 2022, and he got $15 million just for November and December of 2022. Just for 2 months. I would love to get $15 million just for 2 months of work. That's it. Dear God. Okay. What you got, Sabs?
Okay, so I have a video here. I believe this is Fran Drescher. I believe that's who this is.
I had that too. I was going to do that too.
Oh, you did too? Oh shit.
Yeah, it's all good. Go ahead. It's really good.
Yeah, so I don't know, the age groups of everyone in the chat, but Fran Drescher, I remember her from a show in the 90s called The Nanny. And she was the star of that show. So she's really funny. She has like a very sharp Brooklyn, New York accent, I would say. Mm-hmm. So she's speaking out here, and it says, we didn't want to strike, but we are not afraid of a fight. So let's go ahead and play this here.
I went in earnest, thinking that we would be able to avert a strike. The gravity of this move is not lost on me or our negotiating committee or our board members who have voted unanimously to proceed with a strike. It's a very serious thing that impacts thousands, if not millions of people all across this country and around the world. I went in earnest.
So again, like that's, from someone who's very well known. I did not know she was the leader of, I saw the comment that you put up. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the leader of SAG-AFTRA. And, she is said some fiery things. I actually have a longer clip with her.
Okay.
And she pretty much says some of the same things, but I would like to also get into deeper what she says. And she sounds, I'm not gonna lie, she sounds pretty comrade, like Comrade Fran. Hold up. Let's take a look. Sabs, you're gonna be like, ooh. I can't wait for your reaction. I'm gonna be watching you, Sabs. Watch. All right, so let's go.
I cannot believe it, quite frankly. How far apart we are on so many things. How they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs. It is disgusting. Shame on them. They stand on the wrong side of history at this very moment. We stand in solidarity, in unprecedented unity. Our union and our sister unions and the unions around the world are standing by us, as well as other labor unions. Because at some point, the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored. The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history. That is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines and big business. Who cares more about Wall Street than you and your family? Most of Americans don't have more than $500 in an emergency. I cannot.
Your thoughts, Sabs? Your reaction?
Well said. I mean, it's the reality of the situation. So much has changed. JB and I remember days where we could go to a video store called Blockbuster and rent movies. And then we probably remember the Red Box, where you could just walk up to a Red Box outside of a grocery store and just rent a DVD and or Blu-ray and take it home and watch the movies. You know, streaming services wipe that out. And it has really changed the industry in reference to Hollywood. It's so different now. I mean, you can Cobra Kai, for example. I hate to bring up Cobra Kai again, but this is an example. Cobra Kai, before Netflix picked it up, it was a web-based show. It was online. They tried to get it on network television. Network television didn't want it. So it was an online web-based show, and then Netflix picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just there's so many other things that you can do. Like you could have like, you know, a YouTube thing. You could have like just a web-based show. Like you don't have to do it the traditional way, which is the way that JB and I grew up, where you had to do all these things either on network television or through the big studios in Hollywood. And so it is true. It is more difficult for them now. And now you have Chat GP or GPT, or now you have that can actually just write a script for you if need be, and other forms of AI. And I don't know, like I think it's lit that she says like we can be replaced by machines. Like this is very true.
Yep. There's also another article that came out. Stuff is just coming out rapid fire as we're talking about this. But one of the things I want to bring out was, let me see. I want to make sure. Okay. So this is also out of Deadline recently. So this one says that Actors Equity supports SAG after strike. Broadway shows will not be impacted. So this came out a little bit ago. It says Actors Equity Association, the union representing stage, theater actors, and stage managers, expressed solidarity with the SAG after actor strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, saying nobody should step in front of the camera fearing that today's work will be mined, manipulated, or repurposed in the future without consent or compensation. The Broadway union had pointed language for the movie and TV producers who prioritize shareholders over workers. Shame on them.
Yeah,
Sis?
I was just gonna say that for people who are not aware, theater, it's a different union. So they would have to go through their union. Not so much SAG. But
Yeah. So this is, it's SAG is Screen Actors Guild, whereas this other one is Stage Actors. So there's difference. So it's basically like saying the Oscars versus the Tonys, you know. So basically
right.
that. But yeah, so that's what's going on. They have solidarity with the Actors Equity Association, basically AEA. And then there is another video that I also want to share. Deadline's been on it today. And so that's why there's so many articles from Deadline, because they've been just on it today, sharing about what's going on. I have a couple of videos that's coming straight from the picket line as well, so we can take a look at our comrades and the fellow workers that are on the picket line.
My name is Danny Tolley. I am a television writer and a member of the Writers Guild West, and I am out here on strike since May 2nd for a fair contract, and I am thrilled to stand in solidarity with SAG-AFTRA as they join us in their strike for a fair contract.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one as well. And there was this young lady that they show that I thought, she had some good things to say. She actually, oh, you know what?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that this could really cause a catastrophe with people. I could see people, at least in this country, seriously losing it, JB, if they don't have TV to watch or movies to watch.
Oh snap! This just came out after we went live. Let me play this really quick, and I'm gonna get your reaction to it as well. Actually, we're gonna get our reaction because I have never seen this. This came out right after we went live.
Breaking news!
Breaking news, baby!
One of the basic misconceptions is, first of all, we didn't want to strike. We're not asking for a strike. We were forced to strike.
Yes.
They control the narrative of when this strike begins and when it ends.
Exactly.
Okay? So if they care about the dry cleaners and the caterers, and the limo drivers and the restaurants and
the employment
people's
that we do
houses and their health care,
right,
they can solve it like that.
Exactly. And that's an incredibly tone deaf thing for him to say. We are workers.
And it's
we are laborers. We work really hard for our money. We're not these elitist people who are running around in yachts and stuff. We're literally looking for the next job to pay for our rent, to pay for our dinners. So for him to say that, no one's being flippant here. We understand of what we do. This is the only way to get systemic justice.
And I'm sorry, it is a typical management canard. Blame the person who is asking for respect for the collateral damage that they have inflicted.
Exactly.
We stand in solidarity with all the people of Los Angeles in every service capacity, and we stand with everybody in organized labor.
That's right. Across this world.
Across the world.
So you guys heard that. They said they didn't want to go on strike.
Yeah. Yep. And that was Michelle Hurd and Ron Astro, the SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee members. So they're literally on the negotiating committee.
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot obviously happening strike-wise in LA right now because the hotel workers are on strike in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then you have the writers, and now you have SAG. And I just if I was there, I'd be out there on the picket line, trying to talk to people on the picket line and stuff if I could, because I just think that this is so huge. Like, I don't think we've seen a strike like this as long as I've been alive that's been this significant in reference to entertainment business. This is huge.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you want me to play it, but the actress Helen Mirren, she received an award at the Jerusalem Film Festival, and she basically was expressing solidarity with the SAG actors who are also going on strike.
So there you go. And I think look, they're sticking together at least, right? Like, and this is, by the way, these are the actors who are millionaires and the actors who are not millionaires. But the actors who are still millionaires, notice how they're still standing in solidarity with the writers and things like that, which they don't have to, but they are. So I think this is just, I think people, again, I cannot say this enough. The majority of actors in Hollywood are not millionaires. The majority of actors in Hollywood have another job that they depend on to pay their bills.
Yep. Let me see. Okay. So Cannabis Quarterly says, I'm a SAG member. Hello, welcome. Says, I'm a SAG member, and this is the most significant strike in Hollywood history and could reboot the industry or kill it entirely. I was reading somewhere, I forgot, I was trying to find where I was reading it, but they said this is the first time in 70 years that the screenwriters and the actors are simultaneously striking at the same time. 70 years. That's how big this is. Motion picture has been around for about 100 years.
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, you can't have one without the other, right? I mean, you need both of them.
Yeah. Look, it's like, okay, the writers are the cooks and the actors are the servers because they got to deliver the lines, right? And if you don't have cooks and if you don't have servers, you ain't got nothing. So right now in a restaurant setting, because Sabby, you and I, we both work in restaurant settings. Right now, all you got are the hosts and the managers serving the tables. And if you don't have that many people that are sitting at the tables, the managers and the hosts, they can kind of wing it. Maybe even bring in a bartender or two. But once you start to flood them in, they're slammed. They're in the weeds, baby. You got an 86 everything.
I know. 86 means you're out of a certain item. For those who don't understand restaurant lingo, that's what 86 means. But you know what though, JB? We have to talk about the other industries that are affected because of this strike, like the catering industry.
Oh my God.
Because guess who provides food on set to the actors? And to the production crew. The catering industry. Someone mentioned, you mentioned earlier, the limos. They mentioned limousines in the video. Think about the limo service, like, the rideshare businesses. Like, it doesn't just affect people that work, that are actors or people that are writers in Hollywood. There are other industries that are affected by this as well because the studios also depend on them.
Yep. Shutting LA down. That's what they're doing. They're shutting it down.
Bryce said, I just said it, Sabby.
Nice. Let's all Cannabis Quarterly, please give us all the information that you can in the chat, and I'll make sure to keep an eye out for you. But
yes, craft services, yes, that's another good one. Places like Home Depot or Lowe's, like people, when they build the sets, they have to get the materials from somewhere to build those sets. So it's not just the entertainers.
Yep. On top of that, you got to think of the choreographers. You got to think of the coaches, the acting coaches. You also have to think of the people who do. Go ahead, Saps.
Photographers.
The
ones that take pictures on set. Yes, they have those too.
Production assistants.
Yep.
You have the camera operators. What about the people who do VFX? They can't move forward. VFX artists.
Even even the production crew is still affected if there's no actors for them to.
They can't do jack squat. And what about the people who produce the music for the films? What about the editors? You need to have a whole bunch of musicians that are not going to be able to work. That work for the orchestras and stuff. Like, this is going to affect so much. And then the movie theaters and the people who work at the concession stands and print the tickets.
I'm telling you, man, like, just wait for it, you guys. Like, right now it's summer, so some of these shows don't start new episodes until the fall. But if you're on streaming services, that's completely different. But for network television, typically that's how it works. But still, I mean, it's just, and I'm thinking about some of, like, like our grandmas and stuff like that who really love to watch like their soaps, like the daytime soap operas. Oh, like it did,
Yeah.
So many things are affected by this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And even the extras, they're not going to be able to do anything. If you were hoping to be an extra in a show or movie, that's some money that you won't get.
Yeah, and depending on what kind of role they have as an extra, like, they can make pretty good. A friend of mine has been an extra a couple of times in movies here in Boston. So she's showed me pictures and stuff, everything that happens like on set and stuff. So it really does take a village, and you really do need other vendors to come in to make it successful as well. So again, like, there's so many factors affected. And I'm thinking about someone like Gavin Newsom. This is his state. Has Gavin Newsom made a statement about the writer's strike, about, now the SAG strike, the hotel strike that happened, in Los Angeles? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure about that, but I'll take a look. Let me see. Reef. Hey, Reef. Reef says, hey, some of my two favorite people, it's Sabby and Jaybe. Thank you. All right. Looking good on you too. Keep up the great work. Make sure to like and share the stream. Everyone, yes, give us a like. Only you can prevent suppression. All right, Smokey the Bear. All right. So here's another clip, and they are out in these streets. Remember when Jennifer Lewis sang that song? I don't want nobody fucking with me in these streets. Ain't nobody got time for that. Oh gosh.
Kim McCormick, Dana Lee, Young Kim, and we are members of SAG-AFTRA in support of WGA. But now that we're on strike too, I think this is a really important time to address issues like streaming rights and residuals and pay and how that's all being distributed. On top of that, the AI technology that's out there, it's very effective right now, and if we don't have language in place for future iterations, we're going to be swimming without a lifeboat. So I think it's really important for us to get that stuff taken care of now and for the future.
Yeah, I think Brian is right. The two major issues, of course.
That gentleman right there, he looks so familiar. I know him. I've seen him in the movies. I can't
Again,
remember
probably one of those actors whose names we don't know.
Yeah,
but we see their face.
Him. I know his face. I just can't remember. Oh, that gets on my nerves. I can't. He just said his name too.
Streaming rights. I mean, that hasn't been addressed for a long time. And when they started out, it was considered new media, and but you know what? It's been quite a few years now, and they have made a ton of money, and the actors and writers and everybody else involved are not making the kind of money they should. And AI is a huge problem too. Yeah, and Brian already addressed that.
I just don't want to be taken advantage of and treated as a joke. Very serious guy. So.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and share this with people as well, because I talked about this before on my channel. We went through the cost of living report for 2023, but just to show people in California. So this report is released every year in July. It's called, Out of Reach. You can look up any state. But in California in particular, you need to make $42.25 an hour just to afford a 2-bedroom rental. $42.25 an hour. And now the minimum wage is $15.50. And if you're making the minimum wage, which, by the way, the hotel workers who were on strike in Los Angeles, they were being paid between $20 and $25 an hour, and they were asking for a $5 raise, they would still be under that $42.25 in order to make that living wage for California. So what people have to understand is, again, like, how many people in California are actually making $42.25 an hour? With degree or without a degree. I know people with degrees that aren't making $42 an hour now. Yeah. I know teachers aren't making $42 an hour. So I think it's just, that's something that people have to understand, because that state in particular is number one in the highest housing wage in this country. So you would need to work 109 hours a week in California if you make minimum wage just to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
People really need to dive into this, because then there's also Georgia. Remember, Georgia has a film industry too. Yep. Some of those SAG members also work in Georgia, like Tyler Perry, and all of them. Georgia's 23rd highest housing wage in the United States. You need to make $24.75 an hour there to afford a 2-bedroom rental. So it's just, it's a problem across the board.
Yeah. I actually have a video that actually corresponds with what you just said, Sabs.
Woohoo!
I love when plans come together.
Ain't nobody messing with me in these streets.
All right. By the way, let's luxuriate on this lady's outfit, because this outfit just works. But
for her,
yeah, it ain't gonna work for me, because I ain't wearing no halter top. I'll be spilling over in my pants. Anyway, let's go.
I'm a television and screenwriter.
What do you work on?
I wrote on a Hulu show called Woke and an ABC show called Queens.
How long have you been a writer?
Professionally, 2 years now, but I've been screenwriting for the last 4 years or so.
How much do you make?
It varies a lot from year to year. Yeah. So when I wrote on Woke and Queens, that year I made just shy of 200K. That was great. And then last year I made 38K because I was unemployed.
Tell me about the writers' strike. What are writers asking for?
We are just asking for the career to be sustainable. So one of the things we're asking for is a minimum number of weeks for a writer's room to take place. Yeah. So back during the heyday of cable and broadcast, typically you would be employed on a TV show for 40 weeks out of the year. And then during the hiatus, you would be getting residuals. So you could still sustain yourself. Right. However, now there are some writers' rooms that are as short as 5-6 weeks. And then you have to try to find another job after that. Sometimes you can't because they write it into your contract that you are exclusive to them until they make a decision about a next season. And with streaming shows, as I'm sure a lot of people have seen, there can be 2 years between one season and another. So they are basically forcing you to be unemployed for 2 years. If you are in Los Angeles and you want to support the writer's strike, you can join a picket line. If you go on the WGA website, it'll have the list of all the studios and what times we're going to be there.
I put the link to that report in the chat, guys. I saw people were asking for the link, so that way you can look at it. Yeah, they can look at it. Cool.
And so one of the things that I actually wanted to also touch on, you know what? First, before I do that, let me go to the chat in Rockfin, because I see Roger got some things to say.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, that's a good point. LPA films, that's what I said. More are in the 25 to 30K bracket salary. I don't think some people realize how many people in this country are in that bracket. It's a lot more than you would realize. Think about like restaurant workers, think about like sales associates, people that work in retail. Like the most common position in this country, when I looked this up, this is also in the cost of living report, is retail as like a sales associate or restaurant, like waiters, bartenders, serving staff, like that. Those are the most common positions that people have in this country.
Yeah. Let's go here, and then I will go to another point that I wanted to make. So thank you so much for the tip on Rockin' Roger. Roger says, JB, here's part 2 about what I forgot to tell you regarding Jay-Z and L.A. Reid own ran Def Jam when he was suppressing other artists so Jay can use it to push his own music. LL first artist felt Russell owed him something more than these guys be his boss. LL did ultimate cursing out at boss pro worker style by making a diss track calling Jay-Z and L.A. Reid doofy and goofy. To this very day, I still don't know which one is goofy and which one is doofy. Now, regards to the topic at hand, it looks like I'm going to be getting a lot of reading done. Oh my God. They're reading books, a segment from X-Men animated series when X-Men were kidnapped to participate in Mojo World. Oh, I remember this. In Mojo World when...
JB froze. So I can finish it. Mojo World. Kidnap and participate in Mojo World.
They were in their
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. He said, let me see. Oh my God, they're reading books. A segment from X-Men animated series when the X-Men were kidnapped to participate in Mojo World, and there were technical difficulties, and Mojo started freaking out, saying, "Do something! The audience is reading books." I remember this. Oh my God. Gene Werper says, "Go Fran, loved her in the nanny, but this is way better." That's where I remember she is from. She is in the Star Trek Picard, plays a rogue Starfleet officer. She is badass. Okay. Roger continues, Queen's accent. I remember wanting to... Sorry?
Oh, no, I said, I thought it was, that's right. She's from the Queen's accent.
Yeah. She said, Roger says, I remember wanting to do some very naughty things to Fran just to hear that voice go, ow. Oh, God, Roger.
Oh, boy.
Roger. Kidding. Much love to Fran. I'm with you. So much love. Solidarity always. Ow. Yes, I got jokes. By the way, Sab, you can still get Redbox at your local 7-Eleven. March towards AI reinforces my point why we need to bypass unions for co-op ownership. Unions won't be effective tool to fight them. ALU already looking to out Smalls as what?
I didn't know about that.
Me neither.
ALU already looking to out Smalls as president? Really?
What?
We'll have to talk about, you'll have to mention that tonight on Call In, Roger, because this is the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, Roger, you got to call in, and Sabby, you go ahead and give me a phone call after that, because this is some tea that I didn't expect. Okay. Roger says, hey, JB, here's the PDF report. If you open it, Sab just spoke on what it should be for the state, but the PDF report is more detailed. Look at what the report at the minimum wage should be in more expensive parts of California and Georgia, pages 52 and 76.
Yeah, when you go to the website, you have the option to download the report, you guys. And if you download the PDF, you get more detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Due for the sake of time, I also have a couple things that I wanted to share as well before we get going. But there's this thing I wanted to share because people are... Oh, I wanted to share what... I'll go to that one last, but I wanted to share this video really quick. me see. Where is it? Here we go. So, like Sab said, you got a lot of people who are saying, how can we help? And it's like, well, you can possibly boycott, things like that. But somebody on TikTok came up with a great idea. And so I'm like, why not? This might be possible. So you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. So let's see what this gentleman says. So
with streaming executives being the absolute worst people in the world, and God, my forehead is fat. With streaming executives being the absolute worst people in the world, and my decision to go back to pirating and not giving any of these fuckers any more of my money, here are my recommendations for some of my favorite pirating websites. So before you do anything else, the first thing you want to do is going to get an ad blocker extension for whatever browser you're on. I'm on Safari, so going to get an ad blocker for Safari, but Google Chrome, it's easier to get ad blocker extensions on there anyways. Next, you're going to go on this website, fmovies.to. That is my premier favorite pirating website. It has everything I need and usually in HD. As you can see, it has just about any TV show or movie, and the quality is actually pretty good. Like, they just released Guardians of the Galaxy 3 on digital, so I'm going to check it out. So as you can see, they have the full Guardians of the Galaxy movie in its entirety right here playing. I can watch whatever, whenever. Now, I'm not telling anybody what to do. If you want to continue streaming TV shows and movies on these streaming services, that's personally your prerogative. But what these streaming services executives said about the very people that are making them these TV shows and films, that are making them the money, what they said about them and waiting for them to lose their homes and lose out on their rent is completely unacceptable in the year of our Lord 2023. I do not feel comfortable paying these executives lining their pockets for this. So I'm going to support the writers and their work in other ways that don't directly pay the people who are actively trying to make them lose their homes.
Oh, snap.
Bootleggers, come on out. It's time for the bootleggers. y'all know what I'm talking about.
Bootlegging days are back.
In the back of the car. Hey. Bootleggers got a purpose now. I'm telling you.
That's really good. I wanted to Cannabis Quarterly gave us another update. We have hundreds of full-time extras who rely on these shows for meals. I personally know multiple homeless people that do extra work as a living and get by, but now what? That's true. Because they get to eat for free, like when you're working on those sets. That's very true.
Yeah.
And LPA Film says, and there are writers on popular shows who also do gig work or restaurant work to make ends meet while on popular shows. Yep.
Wow.
And thank you to Darius Monk. Black Mirror had a great episode recently about AI replacing actors. Also, JB and Sabby, two of the best YouTubers around. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, thank you, Tiberius. That's sweet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I mean, look, if you guys know of any of those sites, and I'm not saying that you should pirate any of the sites. I'm not saying that you should use those sites to get around with actually paying for the pay sites so that you can actually still get your entertainment in. I'm not saying that you should unsubscribe from your pay sites and then start using those, so you can have your cake and eat it too. I'm not saying any of that. Okay. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Adam Conover. I'm not sure if you got. Are you familiar with the show Adam Ruins Everything? Okay. He has a great show. He's a comedian, and he has some takes that are more in an anti-capitalist type of route. So I want to share this as well, because this is actually going to be one of the last videos I'm going to share. But I want you guys to see what he says. He's been out there since they started striking. So I want you guys to take a look.
So yesterday, some studio executives told the press that they were planning on waiting out the Writers Guild until October, when writers will lose our apartments and homes and become homeless, and then be forced to come back to the table and take a bad deal. Now, first of all, I cannot believe that they said this. They took the mask off. They told on themselves bigger than anyone I have ever seen. But also, they are dead fucking wrong, because writers are in this for the long haul. We have a strike fund that we use to support other writers who are on hard times. We are raising money for crew members and other people affected by the strike. And most importantly, we know that if we do not get a fair deal, we will not have jobs to go back to. So we are not going to leave this picket line. We are going to keep withholding our labor until the companies come back to the table and make a fair deal. And they're going to do that. You know why? Because they need us. Every dollar they make begins with us. So they are not starving us out. We are starving them out. And until they come back to the table, there will be no writing. So yesterday.
All right. So I got the link for the strike fund. So you guys can, if you guys want to contribute to that, you guys can, or just share it as well.
Let's do it.
Here's the strike fund. All right. So it's the entertainment community fund that he linked. And it says you can actually make, you guys can enter gifts amounts for the strike fund. And then you guys can put all your information in here. So I'm going to share this also in the chat, so you guys can have that if you guys would like to contribute, even if it's just $1, because every little bit helps for the strikers. And if you guys know of any strike funds for any unions except for police unions, then you guys share those strike funds so that the workers can actually effectively strike, because that is so deeply important. So just to let you guys know. So that's the strike fund. So coupling that with, leaving some of these platforms, if you feel that if that's something that's feasible for you, then you can do that. And if you want to, you can also contribute to the strike fund as well, because that's also deeply important.
LPA followed up and said one of the problems, according to the members, is that Chris is claiming to still be traveling the world to fundraise while neglecting movement and organizing duties and having things stall.
Ooh. Yikes. That's a whole other show we got to talk about. Ooh.
Oh, no. It's going to be a Florida Evans moment. Damn.
So let me go to this one, make this really quick because I know we got to end in a few minutes. Let's go back to Rockfin. Oh, I think I already do it. Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure. I was just trying to dot my I's and cross my T's and cross my I's, Let's see. Just making sure. All right. Let me see. Yep. I got it. Okay. And let me check and see any other.
Oh, sorry. It's funny.
Let me see. Also, LPA Films says, yep, Jordan Sheraton just did an interview with one of the members leading the lawsuit to have Chris removed.
Oh, it's a lawsuit?
Damn. Okay.
Damn.
We should do that more often. Tiberius Monk says, all my bootleggers in the house say, yeah. All right. Okay. So, we got to get going. But this was an interesting subject. Sabs, what you got going on this evening for your show?
Yeah. There's an independent candidate that's running for president that's coming on tonight for the first 30 minutes. So Jasmine Sherman. So we're going to talk to them. And then 3 news stories. And other than that, then I'll do call in after.
All right. So make sure to get with Sabs in 30 minutes. Let me see. Hold up. We got another super chat from Roger. Roger says, guys, unions coming already with Smalls. Twiddling my thumbs. I ain't saying nothing. Anyways, be sure also to guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys have not, you guys can go to support RBN. You guys can go to our Patreon. If you guys would like to, you guys can also support us through becoming a member. We also do memberships. And if you guys would like to get email notifications, you guys can go to revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. Thank you so very much to everybody for that. If you guys would like to contribute to our fundraiser for our graphics designer, Aaron, you guys can go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout or Cash App $ Mutual Aid Forever, because that helps us out with Aaron. She does the clips as well as does all of the graphics as well, because she did this one and she did an amazing job. Thank you so very much to Aaron. And tomorrow, Sabby, are you going to still be on RBN tomorrow evening?
6 o'clock.
Okay. So be sure to tune in to Sabby tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, as well as her channel tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because you know she's going to have a fire episode. Be sure to be there or be square. Of course, I will be doing news stories on Sunday here on RBN, and then next week I will be doing news stories on my channel next week. And tonight I will be on the channel left. Wait, hang on. I think it's called Left Out. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'll be there at 9 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be on their show. Sorry, I'm trying to find the name. It's a brand new channel. I'm sorry. That's why. Let's see. Is it Left Behind? No. What's the name of it? I can't remember.
Oh, JB. People are saying left side. Is it left side?
No. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry. Left Without Borders. Wait, is it Left Without Borders? Oh my gosh. What's the name of the channel?
Oh, JB.
I know.
You guys didn't hear that.
Yeah. Their brand new channel, and I just subscribed. Hang on. I got it. This is embarrassing. I'm supposed to be a guest on your channel, but and they just put the
Cooper said you were correct. Wary said you were correct.
Yeah, Left Without Borders. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I will be live at 9 p.m. on Left Without Borders. So if you guys would like to catch Sabby at 8 p.m. and then after Sabby's done, you can watch the interview and me on Left Without Borders after you done watching Sabs live. So, all right. So I'll put it in the chat. It is 7:30. Time for us to head out. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. And got any last words from Sabs? Final words. All right. See ya. Bye. Deuces, Bruces. Latest, Gators. Wow, it's crocodiles.